Sometimes it seems like we are making one step forward and two steps back when it comes to the health movement. If you don't know me, my name is Anna. I have been a huge supporter of RFK Jr. I think food is medicine. And when I started seeing him talk about a lot of things that I resonated with, I put all of my support behind him. And I worked this last year, over a year, to hopefully get him elected as president. But obviously, teaming up with Trump, I think was the second best option. So let's get into what's going on right now. There is some infighting in the MAHA movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement. I don't think it's healthy. And I think it is at a very dangerous point right now because we are like less than a month away from Kennedy possibly getting confirmed. And anything that can really hurt that could ruin everything. I mean, if Kennedy doesn't get confirmed by the Senate, which is going to be very difficult because remember, confirmation you need 51 votes. There's 54 Republicans in the Senate. And there are Republicans like Lindsey Graham that are so paid off by pharma and big ag that we really question if they're going to vote for RFK Jr. or if they are too corrupted, if they're too bribed to do that. Um, so anything that can really, change the momentum of getting him confirmed is really dangerous. And I just feel like so many of us, including myself, worked so hard to get to this point and everything can be undone. All of our hard work can be undone just by this bickering. So let's look into what kind of happened. Yesterday, a podcast was released, Danny Jones' podcast. And Calley Means, who is a former lobbyist, he's a whistleblower. He has been talking about all of the corrupt ways that they have bribed our politicians. And a lot of the tactics they used in the tobacco industry, they now use in the food industry. I actually came across Kelly Means. He was on Dr. Phil before before I even knew that he partnered with RFK Jr. or anything. That's how I heard about him. And then he was on a podcast with Dr. Mary Bowden. She is an ENT doctor who has been very outspoken about COVID and all the day. I don't want to get canceled on YouTube, so I got to be careful about what I say. But I'm sure you know where I'm getting at. And I believe she had a lawsuit. I don't know if it was a settlement or what exactly happened, but she was able to get the FDA to take down their advertising saying, I think it was ivermectin is not a horse. It's for horses. It's not for humans, whatever. So that's what I know of her. And I've followed her on X for a while. So I think she does incredible work. And then there's this Dr. Jack Kruse. I've never heard of him, never seen him. So that was my first introduction to him. So pretty disappointing that that was the first I've seen of him. So they go on this podcast because there's been some bad blood between them, I guess. And it was not helpful at all. It was 3 hours of nonsense. And I'm just like, can you imagine what we could have done for 3 hours? What those brilliant minds could have done in 3 hours, and they wasted their time bickering. And it was so disrespectful. Really, it was Jack that was completely disrespectful and out of line. And I am honestly open to being skeptical about Callie and Casey Means. I'm open to that. Let's have a discussion. I'm open to anything, really. But there's a healthy level of skepticism and then there's an unhealthy level. It's funny. I actually talked to someone a few months ago, another fellow Kennedy supporter, and they're very level minded. And they actually told me we're getting to a point where it's kind of dangerous how many things people are questioning. I mean, she was like, yeah, there could be a fire at the end of the street and people will be like, is it actually a fire? And she's like, that's where it's becoming dangerous that people are questioning so much. So, like I said, there's a healthy level and then there's an unhealthy level of skepticism. So, let's kind of get into this a little bit. Okay, let me start at like the root. Like, where did this all come from? Senator Ron Johnson had a roundtable American Health and Nutrition, a second opinion. It's on Rumble. It's like 4 hours long. And there was a ton of people there. RFK Jr., Calley and Casey Means. There was Jillian Michaels, a lot of big names, some smaller names, whatever. Mary was not there. And after that aired or whatever was posted online, she had this to say. She says, the new chronic disease experts are strangely quiet on the COVID shots. And Calley responded to her saying, I addressed the COVID vaccine and Casey attacked Moderna. This came up a ton. What's the deal here, Mary? And another one, she said, the explosion of health issues in recent years is from the COVID shots until proven otherwise. The experts are diverting the conversation to our food. Stay vigilant. So let me just discuss basically what they're accusing Calley of and his sister Casey. They are saying that vaccines are the biggest threat right now to our health, and that they were basically a plant, whether they were intentionally or unintentionally a plant. And they are talking about food to divert the attention away from the real problem that's the vaccines. That's just what they're saying. I don't agree with it. I think that so many things impact our health that talking about one of the many things is not diverting the conversation. It's just talking about those things. So here's a clip from the podcast. Let's see this one.
Explain how the conspiracy is that a lot of people bought the book.
Well, but you're the first time author, right? That's very unusual for a first time author. And you're not the first person to give this message. I mean, this message has been going out for 50 years. You just managed to overcome what most people can't and get that message out to most of America, which is amazing. And I want to know how you did it. So we can do the same thing with the.
I truly believe that Mary has good intentions. I just don't think she realizes that it's coming across as jealousy. I really do think that she's been through a lot. She talked about how she had 6,000 patients during COVID back to back to back, and it was just horrendous seeing all of the injuries people had. And she just wants to sound the alarm. She just wants people to know what's going on. But instead of partnering with the right people, she's attacking them. And it really is just coming across as jealous. And I think she was a little jealous that she wasn't invited. I'm assuming she wasn't invited to the round table. She should have been. She should have been. But just how she is presenting this information, it's hard not to look at it and think jealousy. But I know that she's coming from a good place. She really is just trying to sound the alarm. But it's just how you do it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? We all know that. And she also had this to say. Calley's X account has grown over 1,000% in 6 months. I asked him how that happened. He dodged my question, referring to that clip I just showed you. And again, it's just coming across as jealousy. But here's the thing, like I went to school for marketing, and we talked about all the time how businesses fail, succeed, whatever. And how I started is I ran a photography business. And in the photography community, we talked about all the time how someone could literally copy and paste what another photographer is doing. And their sales could be completely different because everyone's different. Your location is different. The timing is different. There's still going to be different things, and everyone's customers are different, especially when you're talking about social media. If you want to pop off on social media, there's algorithms, there's marketing, there's messaging, there's so many different things. And sometimes it's like the silliest things that go viral. That's just how life is. I put a lot of time and effort into my content, and it is the stuff that takes like literally 2 seconds to make always goes viral. So there's some kind of method to the madness, but there's also not. And Calley was just at the right place at the right time, and he got big. and he has a good story. People love to hear stories. And I also give the example of Risa Tisa. She was on TikTok. She literally had 2,000 followers, and in a weekend, she gained 2 million followers. And it was literally because she told a story of who the fuck did she marry. And it was like this 8-hour series of she just told her story on her ex-husband. And it was crazy. So it's like, how did she gain so many? Because she told a story. She was at the right place at the right time, and it resonated with people. It's in the algorithm and everything. There's so many things out of our control. If it really was just about like effort, then a lot more people that have small followings would have huge followings. And of course, I mean, I'm not blind to this. The fact that Mary and Dr. Jack Kruse are talking about COVID, of course you're going to be censored over that stuff. That's why I don't talk about that stuff, because I don't want to be censored. So I'm going to focus on the things that not only are not censored, but are also have bipartisan support. Getting the chemicals out of our food and water is something that so many people have been screaming about for years. And finally, this is something that no matter where you are on the political spectrum, we can agree on it. And that's a beautiful thing. And we should be celebrating that. So, yeah, I want to take that win and run with it. Here's the dangerous thing, too. As we've seen the past few weeks, Kennedy has a lawyer that he worked with, and that lawyer was representing someone else. And years ago, they filed a lawsuit to pull the one polio vaccine out of 6 because it wasn't properly safety tested. It was like tested for like 3 days or something, and it's literally not to standard. So 1 of 6. But what did all the news headlines say after years of this? They say that Kennedy wants to ban the polio vaccine. When, first of all, this case had nothing to do with him. It was his lawyer representing someone else. And it's 1 of 6. So you still have 5 options of the polio vaccine. And then Republican senators like Senator Kennedy, I was very surprised by this one. He came out and said, no, if he wants to ban the polio vaccine, then no, I'm probably not going to confirm him. So do you really want to risk that right now? Do you really want to risk? Because they kept asking Calley, like, okay, will you say right now, hard set, like, will you say that the COVID vaccine should be pulled from the market? Will you say that right now? And he beat it around the bush. And I would encourage him to keep doing that, at least until after the confirmation. Can you imagine the absolute outrage by everyone, the media, everything, if Calley means someone so close to Kennedy and Trump says we need to ban the COVID vaccine? Do you really think that Kennedy would get confirmed? I do not think so. Absolutely not. There are just so many people who are Republicans too that are so loyal. They like think that vaccines are a godsend. So it is so hard to deprogram people. Okay. And I know that this is such a threat right now, but if Kennedy is not confirmed, then literally nothing happens. You're not going to get your way. I'm not going to get my way. We're going to get nothing. We got some little exposure for a few months, and that's it. We're going to make zero change. So it's like, can we hold off for literally a month to get him confirmed? And then we can have those tough conversations. And especially if we focus on the food right now that everyone agrees on, we don't want these chemicals in our food and water. Everyone agrees on that. Then it opens people up to the idea that maybe other things are poison too that we need to look at. Baby steps here. I know you want it clean cut. Maybe that's in the work behind the scenes that we don't know about. Maybe it is. But I think it is irresponsible to expect Calley or anyone right now that's close to Kennedy or Kennedy himself to say we need to ban COVID vaccines and other vaccines as well. That is irresponsible. And then we're going to end up having nothing. And I don't think that's what anyone wants. And if that is what you want, then you're not actually for the health movement. You actually do not care about health if you want Kennedy to not get confirmed and then we get nothing. And this is where things really went off the edge in the podcast. So this is what Jack had to say.
Looked at her death certificate.
Okay, so
Have you ever looked at her death certificate?
Jack.
I'm just asking you a
Jack,
question.
Jack.
Have you ever looked at the death certificate?
Jack.
It's a yes or no question.
Jack, if you're gonna talk about personal stuff,
You
like
want to
this-
call your sister up and ask her if
Hold
she
on,
looked at it?
Hold on. Bring a little more heart to this, Jack.
Oh, this is where the heart of the matter is, my friend.
Jack. Can we take a breath and can you just
Nope.
like?
I need an answer.
Why are you being so angry about my mom's death?
Because I think you're full of shit.
I just think that was so disrespectful. Let's say like Calley lost his mom, I think like 4 years ago at this point. I would say that's still pretty fresh. And if you really think that she passed away from something other than what he thought it was, pancreatic cancer, do you really think that's the time and place to break that to him? Do you really think that's how you would do it? I just think everything about that, he lost all credibility. No matter what message he wants to tell people, he just lost all credibility. And I don't know how you come back from that. So many people I saw said that they turned off the podcast after he said that. Going further on, they kept saying, like, you have this megaphone. You need to talk about the vaccines. You need to do this. You have a megaphone that we don't have. This is why I have such a problem with that for a few reasons. First of all, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but this is the analogy I'm giving. Let's say they're building a house. Calley is the plumber. Dr. Mary is the electrician. They're both needed to build a house. But it's like Mary is asking Calley to do the electrical work, but that's not what he does. He does plumbing. I have zero problem with Calley talking about food and Mary talking about vaccines. I have zero problem with that. I don't understand why they can't do what they specialize in, what they're passionate about. And especially me, I'm like literally the same way as Calley. And he has said some things about vaccines in the past, by the way. But I am more passionate about the food situation. And what's confusing is even Kennedy has said in the past numerous times that he doesn't believe it's one thing. Kennedy has never had the position that it's only vaccines. He has always said that our kids are swimming in a toxic soup today. It's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of the food. It's probably like some 5G stuff. It's the vaccine. It's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not just one thing. So they were saying, I'm done with Kennedy because he doesn't really talk about vaccines anymore. And it's like he never was 100% vaccines. He's been a little bit of everything. So that's one problem. The other problem I have is that they have been offered a megaphone and they haven't taken it.
Down Tucker Carlson because he's part of the problem.
Okay.
I would never go on Joe Rogan for the same reason, because he's also tied to the global elites.
So you were offered a megaphone on Tucker. You're publicly saying you won't go on Rogan. I don't know if he was offered Rogan, and you're not going to use it. But you expect Calley to go on Tucker, to go on Rogan, to go on these things and to talk about your platform. That literally makes no sense. It's so hypocritical. It's just beyond me. And you want to know what this really comes down to? This comes down to this. Mary said, I had a heated debate today with someone about what is worse, food or the COVID shots. I've never seen anything like what I'm seeing with these shots. Young, healthy lives suddenly destroyed. Our food supply is a slow killer. The shots are multiple levels higher in terms of harm. So that really is a lot of the debate right there. It's what is worse? Why can't we just say they're both bad? Why do we need to have this infighting over which evil is worse? It's like when all of us independents kept saying like, okay, what's worse, Republicans or Democrats? They're both evil. Evil is still evil. The lesser of two evils is still evil. And that's this. Is the poison in our food bad, or is the poison in the vaccines bad? They're both evil. They're both poison. So it's like, why can't we just work together? That's what kills me. Is this could be so beautiful if we work together, but instead they thought it was a great idea to get Calley in a room and to start talking about his dead mother. That's going to get him to want to work with you. And you know what? He still was willing to do that. Let's watch this clip.
Can we talk about what your 100-day plan would be? Like what
Constitutional amendment.
Okay. So what would be your recommendation of how to,
Anybody associated with goes to Guantanamo Bay, first and foremost.
okay.
That's it. That's the first thing I do.
Okay.
And I know that if Getz was in, that'd happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first place. And then I'd start changing laws.
Anyway, so Calley, in good faith, that was like 2.5 hours into the podcast. And he's like, okay, what can we do? What can we work through? Like, in a perfect world, what's your 100 days? And he didn't have to do that. I mean, who would do that after being attacked for 2.5 hours? I think that's crazy. And it's unrealistic to expect a constitutional amendment. You need a 2/3 vote, and it's not going to happen. Sorry. So what are things we can control? Now, he did talk about constitutional amendments in the states. That's more realistic. Go state by state. But to just blanketly say that right this second, we need a constitutional amendment day one, that's not realistic. I'm so sorry. And another thing that confuses me about this whole Calley is a plant to take away attention from vaccines to talk about food. So if vaccines go away or people understand the harm of vaccines, big pharma is going to hurt. A lot of their profits are going to go away. If people understand that food is medicine and they don't need all these prescription pills and stuff, pharma still gets hurt and their profits go away. So if it really was he was a plant for big pharma, why would his presence be hurting big pharma? That's what makes no sense here. Maybe someone else can explain it to me. So I want to wrap up here a little bit, and I have some thoughts. Obviously, I've shared my thoughts this whole time, but I have some thoughts here. Calley knows politics. The doctors know medicine. We should be partnering together. I'm very new to politics, and I want things right now, right this second, just like anyone else. I'm like, why can't politicians just do the right thing? Why do we need to have all these big spending bills, hide a whole bunch of stuff in, blah, blah, blah? Like, just vote no, do a balanced budget, get it done today. But, as time has gone on, people are like, Anna, it doesn't work like that. And sometimes you have to play politics. And Calley knows the politics side. He doesn't know everything about the medical side. And that's where the doctors come in. And they could be partnering and working together to do something great. Like I said, I think the main thing right now is just to put a pause on some things and just fully work on getting Kennedy confirmed. Then it's go time. It is go time after that. So again, they fought for 3 hours. It's been more. That was just how long the podcast was, but they've really been fighting online and all today, whatever. And it's like, imagine what we could have done in that time. We could have rallied the troops to call their senators. We could have connected with the senator's staff. Like we could be making some real change here to get Kennedy confirmed, but yet we are distracting. And honestly, it's kind of a good thing. There's so much drama right now about Laura Loomer and whatever Elon Vivek that it's kind of distracting from what's going on in the MAHA movement right now. So, Democrats are laughing at MAGA right now for their infighting. It's a good thing they haven't realized that MAHA people have infighting too, because that would be really embarrassing for us. So I have said this about libertarians too. They often don't get a lot done because all they do is fight. If all you're doing is fighting, at what point do you actually do anything? At what point is there action to actually move the needle? If you are just fighting all the time, then nothing gets done. And I really would encourage everyone to read and then reread Benjamin Franklin's speech before he signed the Constitution. Because he basically said that this Constitution is as perfect as us imperfect men could make it. Obviously, I'm sure it could be better, but this is the best we could do. And he said that we can't go out there and start criticizing it, or our enemies will find out. Oh my gosh, our enemies will know that we don't like it and it will be seen as a weakness. sound familiar in this situation? And he says, so we have to sign it today, understanding that it's imperfectly perfect, and we need to go out there and stand united. And that's the message we need to have today. It is not perfect. The health topic is very broad. It encompasses many things. And we are all imperfect people we are all trying to make a change. And we need to have healthy debate, not bring up dead moms. We need to have healthy debate. And then at some point, we need to put down the mics and come together and actually do something. But if we spend all of our time fighting, then nothing will get done. So that's my message for you, for everyone. Let's debate. Let's have good conversation, healthy conversation. We are not all going to agree on everything, but you know what? I think we do agree that something's very wrong with the health of our country. There's literally zero reason that we spend more than any other country on healthcare, but we're 47th in the world in life expectancy. It's a disgrace. So we all have ideas on how to fix that. And we just need to listen to each other and work together. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. So that's my message. I hope that we can move on from here and focus on the confirmation process. And please call your senators, both of them, their offices, talk to their staff, send emails, tag them online, and let's actually do something productive. Thank you so much for listening.